Right, the news has come out today that Chelsea Football Club may not be signing Jadon Sancho at the end of this season. We signed him on loan from Manchester United with an obligation to buy for around 25 million. And when he first came through the door at Stamford Bridge, I was rubbing my hands and licking my lips. I thought that we had a bargain on our hands. However, more recently, quite a few Chelsea fans and other people in the football community have been suggesting that maybe going for Jadon Sancho and cementing that deal might not have been the best thing to do. And the news has now broke that there were terms in that contract that Chelsea were able to cancel the obligation to buy if we paid a significant fee. And very recently, both myself and the big dog, the channel fan favourite, the man, the myth, the legend, Joshua Veste, who is with me today, was speaking about what that clause might be. It was actually me, you and Brian, weren't we? And we were speculating 10 to 15 million, weren't we?
Yes, and it's come out. The information has been divulged. It's now 5 million.
5 million.
So it's at the lower end. Now, what's interesting about this is we've been paying a low element of his wages so far, and we didn't pay a loan fee.
No.
So effectively, when we signed a João Felix, we were paying, I think it was 6 million euros for that year. It might have actually been even more than that.
I thought the João Felix was 8 mil and it was for 6 months or something.
There you go. So it might have been even more. But that's the way it works. You get a loan fee. That's the way to, pay the club for doing it. Now, with the Jadon Sancho deal, we didn't do that. So really, when you look at that deal now, I was thinking about this the other day. Is it actually a bit of a shit deal? But you look at it now, it's a loan with an obligation, but really an opportunity to get out of it. And we're only paying half his wages. So it's actually a pretty good deal for us, to be fair.
Well, before we get on to whether or not we go for it, whether or not we keep Jadon Sancho at Stamford Bridge, we've got to look at it, and we've got to look at contextually, the money that we paid for João Felix for 6 months of service.
Yeah.
It wasn't his fault necessarily, but he got sent off in his first match. 3-match ban straight away for João Felix. Was cup tied for the Champions League games as well. Obviously, we paid around 8 million quid for that loan for half a season. If it works out that we had Jadon Sancho for a whole season, a season where as well, regardless of his form that we'll speak about, we actually did need him. With what happened with Mykhailo Mudryk and whatnot, and injuries coming up, we would be in a bad position without him, even though we had this over-bloated squad at the start. Jadon Sancho actually became, especially at the start of his Chelsea career, a very key player for us. If it does do that, and it works out that we've paid 5 million for the entire season and a portion of his wages, then, I can't do anything but agree with you and say that it will be an absolute masterstroke almost from Chelsea.
Yeah, this is the thing. We are getting a lot of stick for some of our deals recently, and my God, they are awful. But with this one in particular, all of the circumstances around it make complete sense. Now, what we've got to talk about now, really, and the question we've got to ask each other is, do we want them to make this a permanent deal? Because I'm seeing a lot of information at the moment where people are going, you could buy him, fulfill the obligation, and there'd be other clubs interested in, purchasing him. Potentially for more than the 25 million base.
Do you think that the 25 million that we'd be paying for Jadon Sancho has enhanced off the back of this season? 25 years old, has once again shown his brilliance.
Has he?
I think when you look at those first sort of 5-6 games. No, in fact, I'd say more. I'd say when you look at the first 10 games or so of Jadon Sancho, whether they were off the bench or whether they were starts, I think that he was showing that he was a million miles better than the player that we saw playing under Erik ten Hag at Man United. Would you dispute that?
I would say he's better than he was at Man United, but I would say that's an incredibly low bar. I think he's been much worse than he was at Dortmund. Put it that way. So I'm looking at it now, and I think, yes, it was a really good move in terms of the loan fee. But now I'm going, would he be worth more than 25 million? And I don't think he would, to be honest with you. I don't think we've seen enough for someone to come in and pay more than that kind of money with the wages that Jadon Sancho is on. For context, what is it? North of 250 grand a week he's on at Man United?
About that, yeah.
Yeah. So it's a lot of money. So the total outlay of a package, bearing in mind we're going to be dealing with clubs in the Bundesliga and Serie A, probably.
Yeah.
I can't see him going to another English team. Not now after last. Well, not for
Do you
200.
think, though? Do you think?
This is the Rashford dilemma.
Because I was about to say to you, with Marcus Rashford, if Marcus Rashford continues so far, I don't want to say he's ripped it up at Villa, but he's been impressive.
Well, I'll tell you whose decision it is then. It's the player's decision because they're going to have to take lower amount of money. No, yeah. I'm sorry. If you go to Brighton or you go to even Spurs, they're not going to be paying you 250 grand a week. They're not. It'd be if he went to either of those teams, he'd be the highest paid player at both those clubs.
Yeah.
So, like, what do you want to do?
So, do you think there will be suitors for Jadon Sancho in the Premier League?
I think there will be suitors for him if Man United take a cut price deal because he's going back. That's as simple as it is. Do you know what? There's a lot of rumours and a lot of debate at the moment. People saying that we are going to trigger the obligation.
Yeah.
And
Enzo Maresca saying that he's very, very happy with him.
Yeah, but you would say that, wouldn't you? Because you
want to get the most out of him for the rest of the season. You want him to perform. You know.
Yeah. I do.
You don't
think
want heads to go down.
I think it would be criminal if we keep him.
Really?
I think it'd be
criminal.
Criminals. I think it'd be criminal. I think it'd be such bad business if we kept him.
But then, obviously, what might come to light after, the deal taking place is that your boy Mykhailo Mudryk may well never play for Chelsea Football Club again.
Let's get two other players in,
and then we're short of left wingers.
Let's get two other players in. I mean, you've got to remember that the wage amount makes a huge difference to the way that we run the club now. The boys are trying to bring down the wage bill massively, right? Mykhailo Mudryk actually isn't on that much money a week.
He's only on about 80 grand a week, 70 grand a week.
Yeah, I think it could be 100, but it's not a lot of money, is it? When you start talking about players that are alternatives that could be brought in for less money a week than Jadon Sancho, you start thinking, actually, there are quite a few good options there that probably be more impactful than what Jadon Sancho can give. I think
put down 100 million on Minter from Brighton.
Yeah, what I've been really disappointed with is his inability to break down low blocks, which I thought was his key strength.
I did too.
And the way that he's played recently, he's been playing against a lot of low blocks, and I just never see him beat a player.
Do you remember when he came off the bench for Bournemouth and it was Nkunku that scored the goal, but Jadon Sancho made it, and that was when they were sort of playing that low block against us, really defensive, 0-0. It didn't look like it was going to go anywhere, and Sancho created it, and he went on a little run there, didn't he? He went on a run where I think there was games against, was it West Ham? I had it up on the screen a minute ago. I think it was West Ham, Brighton, a few more games where consistently he was setting up goals. Yeah, West Ham, Brighton, setting up goals. Obviously scored a screamer against Spurs, by the way, and scored against Southampton. So I do think there is a lot of promise there for Jadon Sancho. Do I think he's going to be the player that makes a huge difference at Chelsea next season? I'm not too sure. But what I do know is that Raheem Sterling will be returning, right? He's going to be hard to budge. João Felix is returning. He might be less hard to budge, but still, it's still a problem, right? You've got both of those boys returning, right? You know that in an ideal world, you move them both on, but you might not be able to move them both on. And that's where I kind of changed my stance on this, because my stance at the minute is I like Jadon Sancho. I think that we'll see better out of Jadon Sancho, and I don't think that his form has dived off a cliff. I think he's performed in context to how the team has performed. I think if the team started performing to a really high level again, I think that Jadon Sancho's performances individually would improve again, right? So I don't think he's the problem. But what I'm trying to say is I also don't think he's the answer, okay? And the problem that we have is it's going to be hard to move on Raheem Sterling. It's going to be hard to move on João Felix, who we don't really feel like Enzo Maresca values all that much. We've also got budding academy products like Tyreek George, who may go out on loan next season, but might be someone who's seen as a player that will be utilised even more off the bench in the later minutes of games. And then we've also got Estevao coming in, who I'm not saying is a left winger, but is another one of those forward options. And for that reason, I think that it might be necessary to pay this $5 million and to give Jadon Sancho back to Manchester United. Bearing in mind, they would have the burden of paying those wages. You know, he'd have to renegotiate his wages to come to Chelsea. He can just stay on however much he's on at Man United, probably 250 grand a week. That's music to my ears. I'd like it if Man United had to play that to a player that they don't want. But we're also hearing a lot of PR briefings at the moment, aren't we, about having to raise the money for new arrivals. And I think that myself and yourself both feel that it is important that new arrivals do come in. Not a plethora of them, not a million players, and definitely not a load of 19-year-olds rocking up 20 at a time, right? I'm on about, I would like us to very much go out and focus our attentions on signing Victor Gyökeres, maybe even returning him for Osimhen, right? And when you look at the wages that he's going to want, his next contract, Osimhen, right? And I debated this in my last video. He's going to want probably, upwards of 200 grand a week?
Yeah. He sees himself as like a European elite player. Do you know what I mean? Like, he sees himself as a very good. I feel, and
I have no like evidence for this. I feel like Osimhen would not accept a deal that pays him less than 250 grand a week with bonuses.
Better ask John Obi Mikel. He's the one that broke in the deal, isn't he?
There you go. There you go. So Osimhen, someone like that. Gyökeres, you could get lower. You could get him, and that would be something that I think wage structure wise the club would want more, because if you offered Gyökeres 120 grand a week, you'd get him from a wage perspective.
Well, the good news is you're going to get Liam Delap. So
no, fuck Liam Delap. I don't want.
I saw you talk about Liam Delap. I thought you would be more positive towards that deal.
No, don't. He's not proven.
He's not good enough.
It's not that he's not good enough. He's not proven, mate. We need, if we want to compete, we need proven players. We need proven players, right? We are being held on in this Champions League race right now by our more senior players. I'm talking Cucurella, Enzo Fernandez, Caicedo, Reece James, whatever, right? Add all their ages together, it still comes under the age of the average life expectancy, probably. They're all still young. They're all still young. Do you know what I mean? Like, Enzo and Caicedo, 21 and 22 respectively, or 22 and 22, or whatever they are. You know what I mean? Like, our more senior players are still young. I think that going and signing a Victor Osimhen or a Victor Gyökeres, right, would be a statement of intent from the board to show the fan base, okay, we hear you, we understand. You don't only want wonder kids brought in, you want someone here for the here and now. And then imagine next season, right? And this is the beauty of this, right? We get rid of Raheem Sterling. We get rid of, let's say, for example, João Felix, right? Then next season, you got left-wing options. You got Pedro Neto, who can play over there.
Tyreek George.
You got Tyreek George.
Yep.
And you have?
A new signing?
No.
Nicholas Jackson.
You got Nicholas Jackson. You got Gyökeres, or you got Osimhen up top. You got Cole Palmer feeding balls through to them, and then we just whack a little Esteval on the right to rotate a little bit of Noni Madueke as he beds in for his first season. Just behind them, Enzo Fernandez and Caicedo. Andre Santos, you want to go? Yeah, why not, mate? You can come in and start alongside Romeo Lavia whenever you want. And then finally, the last piece to make this a beautiful Chelsea team that just competes so well for us is who's between the sticks?
Georgie Petrovic.
Georgie fucking Petrovic, mate. That's how it's done. Can you clip this and send this to the board?
Because, do you know what is so funny is we're in such a bit of a negative moment with Chelsea fans at the moment, but I do feel that we are so close to like a really, really good squad.
Mate,
aren't we?
I honestly think it's that simple, right?
Striker?
Now, things need to go right here for us, right? And one of these things is this. Mike Penders needs to be the epiphany. He needs to be he
needs to be the Courtois replacement.
He needs to be the Courtois replacement, right? Yeah, and if he's that, brilliant. But what I'm saying here is Mike Penders as backup for Georgie Petrovic, right? And then I think you go on. Maresca obviously likes to play with the back three. Now, personally, I think that back three would be probably best suited to have Reece on the right-hand side, Wesley Fofana through the middle, Levi Colwell as the left-hand sided one of the back three, yeah? And then the left back that inverts or does the number 10 role, whatever he wants to do, is obviously Cucurella, yeah? You've got Caicedo and Enzo in there. Rotation options. You have got Andre Santos now. You've got Romeo Lavia now. These boys will be getting minutes. There'll be more games, injuries, suspensions, whatnot. And then looking at that front line, honestly, I'm telling you, one day it's going to happen and everyone will come back and go, Joey, do you know what? You were a genius. Nicholas Jackson, left wing.
Yeah.
Nicholas Jackson, trust me, is a left winger. I'm convinced of it. I think he's a left winger, right? Nicholas Jackson, left wing. Cole Palmer through the middle. You still get that lovely little link-up play from those boys there. Guess what? Cucurella loves playing with them two too. He comes through. Then we make sure we go out and we get a number 9. And for me, it's not Liam Delap. It's Victor Gyökeres, Victor Osimhen. They're the two.
They're so different players, those two. Like when you think about those two players, that Gyökeres is sort of like that Aguero mould of striker, isn't he? Not saying he's anywhere near as good as Aguero.
I would say he has more aerial ability. I've seen him score way more headers than Aguero.
I would say he was, a different type of player than
and obviously
an
6'2". Aguero was about 5'9".
Yeah, but he's not massive, is he?
Well, 6'2".
Is he 6'2"? I think he's smaller than that.
Gyökeres is 6'2".
Jesus Christ, I thought he was smaller than that.
No.
But Osimhen plays in a very different way to him as well. Are they going to be two different players?
Osimhen, same
Who are we
height.
getting?
What, out of the two of them?
Yeah.
More likely Gyökeres.
Do you think?
I think Napoli are notoriously hard to deal with, and I just kind of think that sometimes there's deals that are like, not tainted, but it's like you've gone there so long, you've tried so hard.
I think
do you know one that comes into my? Do you know one that comes into my head for some reason? You just said Man United there. Yeah. Wesley Sneijder to Man United. Do you remember it rumbled on for 7 years and never happened?
Yeah.
Like,
they really wanted him, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there were a few of them. There were certain players to Chelsea. There was Erling Haaland to Chelsea.
Yes.
That rumbled on for 3-4 seasons.
That would have been nice to have him.
Never
wouldn't have had the
happening.
pet problem if he was at Chelsea, would he?
No.
Oh, they just play around one player. Oh,
Yeah.
no. We'd be going, great.
There you go.
Give it to Erling Haaland, let him bang in the goals.
So I truly do think that.
I think there's a possibility that we sign two strikers and don't sign a winger,
Yeah, but then there'll be two like young, average-ish strikers. I just don't want to do that.
I really think that Samuel Morodion is the one that they'll go for.
I think he's good. I think his stats are very good. I think that because he's young, that will be very attractive for them in terms of sell-on value and whatnot. Wages aren't that high at the minute. I think he's highly incentivized on the wages. I think like he earns double when he's scoring and whatnot, and he is scoring at the moment. So Samu could be the one, but he's only just signed for Porto. Porto didn't sign him for no reason, and they've got their ambitions too, and they're playing, European football too. Are they going to want to let him go?
You know what it's like in the Portuguese league, though. If a good offer comes in, they will sell.
Yeah, a good offer, but we're talking.
How much are we talking?
105 million for Enzo Fernandez. Do you know what I mean?
True.
Do we want to be doing that with Samu when you can get Victor Osimhen? Yeah, the wages are higher, but you can get Victor Osimhen for around 68 million. You can get Gyökeres for around that sort of price as well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and to be fair, we've got good relationships with Sporting at the moment, haven't we? We've signed half their fucking squad.
Yeah, there you go.
Asugo and Quenda. Yeah, both come from Sporting already.
And we've also got the thing that a lot of clubs don't have, which is leverage in terms of, okay, we scratch your back, you scratch ours. Do you want him? We'll give you him.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So
I think Dewsbury Hall would be brilliant in Portugal.
I'd love Dewsbury Hall at Sporting. There you go.
It just works.
Yeah.
It just works. No, I think this summer, and what I particularly like at the moment, all the noises that I'm hearing is that all of this business will be done before the end of June, which is so great for us.
Yeah.
If they are actually working on this early and they get the deals done early, which you're probably going to have to pay a fair whack for. If we get the deals done early, we get a striker in for Club World Cup. I'm immediately more excited about that tournament if we
100%.
get another player in like that. But I do think for me, I'm interested to see what you think here. In terms of priorities, I'd be going striker number 1, left winger number 2, and then I still think we need a centre back. What do you think?
Possibly, but I'm not sure. I think Tosin has been pretty solid when we've seen him. Not seen him put in too many stinkers. Badiashil's up and down.
I think Badiashil will be sold.
Yeah, Badiashil probably
That's
be
why
sold.
I think we signed another.
So yeah, maybe one more centre back. But remember, I know people don't like to hear this, but Anselmino, he might be one that comes back in and gets some football. I don't know.
He's got
I
Strasbourg
think
written
for
all over
me,
him, hasn't he?
it's very, very clear. Priority for Chelsea this season is go out, sign a number 9, and get Georgi Petrovic back. The man's on fire. The man's been absolutely brilliant, by the way. I think he's kept 5 clean sheets in his last 5 matches at Strasbourg, and I'm not being funny. Let's have it right. Strasbourg are performing better than us at this moment in time.
They are playing so well.
We need to get Georgi Petrovic back, learn from the mistakes. So I think getting him back in goal or bringing in a top class goalkeeper is a priority, moving for a striker. What I don't want to do is have the briefings of, we need to raise the funds to bring new players in and then bring a player in a position we don't need. We've
already had that
DM
with
potentially.
but we've already heard that with Asugu is a DM.
I know.
We've already had it.
I know.
We are stockpiling in weird areas.
And the board wonder why they're pissing people off.
Do you know what worries me the most about that Asugu signing is the Santos situation? Have you seen the quotes from him recently? Like, he doesn't know what's happening. He's going to look at the summer with his agents.
Not just that. Bayern Munich want Santos, mate.
I have a sneaky feeling that Asugu deal was done with the knowledge that Santos is going to be gone. And I think everyone right now is saying that he's going to be in the squad next year. And I have a very, very bad feeling that he's going to be out the door.
Santos was signed for what, about 5 million?
I think it was slightly more, but not much more.
Yeah, not too much more.
It's pure profit.
And now, all of a sudden, if someone wants to go and buy Santos, I feel like you're putting about 50 mil in his head.
I was about to say 80.
Really?
Well, why are we signing Enzo Fernandez for 100 and whatever it was? And Santos, who's probably a better player, is not worth that.
It's mad, isn't it?
But is that okay?
That's a huge call, though, by the way, to say that Santos is probably a better player than Enzo Fernandez.
Okay, I'm going to ask you directly.
He's playing at Strasbourg.
I'm going to ask you directly. Is Santos going to become a better player than Enzo Fernandez will be at his peak?
I can't answer that question. It's too hard. Too hard to answer that question.
I'm going to put it on camera now. I think that Andre Santos will have a better career than Enzo Fernandez.
And you're basing that on 2/3 of the season at Strasbourg.
I just think I'm watching him now.
Because he went on loan to Nottingham Forest and couldn't get a look in.
Yeah, but that was a joke. How old is he? 21?
21.
I think he's going to have a wonderful career, Andre Santos.
Yeah, so do I. But you're asking me, do I think he'll have a better career than World Cup winner Enzo Fernandez?
Okay, I've got another question for you. Who would you rather sell in the summer? Andre Santos or Enzo Fernandez? Bearing in mind there are links right now with Enzo and Real Madrid. So it's reasonable.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'd say to Real Madrid? I'd say, I'm happy to do business with you, Real. If you give me 50 million quid and Antonio Rudiger, you got a deal.
50 and Antonio Rudiger.
Antonio Rudiger's a quality player.
Yeah, but he's getting on in age. He's
I don't give a
27
fuck
now.
about... Mate, I don't give a fuck about how old he is.
80 in Rudiger.
Okay, well, you're a better negotiator than I am.
Or 50, Rudiger, Valverde.
Chuck in Mbappe while you're at it.
Yeah,
Chuck in Vinicius.
There you go. On the Bernabeu. We need somewhere to play while we relocate to
Bring back Courtois.
Yeah, there you go. Now he hates us. Right, people, we will see you all in the next one.